In the darkest blackness of human carnage and suffering, police, fire, and EMS intercede on behalf of mankind. God himself reaches out to those who suffer through their hands. Their service is a clear and unmistakable demonstration that God does not abandon people in the storms of life.
Well, remember, a healed patient is not a return customer.
No, and I do think that there is a lot of truth in that. But when the Lord heals and gets you, that's why with, doing any kind of deep healing, all of us have hurts and wounds, things done by our parents that they didn't even know, things that have been passed down from generation to generation, which in my family, there was adultery. And I remember saying, I will never do that. I will never do that. What did I end up doing? So, there is that cutting off, that, all of that. But, another really big thing that the Lord has taught me was that you cannot have secrets in your life. You cannot have secrets from your husband, unless, of course, it's a surprise birthday party or something like that. But no, you can't have secrets, because secrets will destroy you, and they will. And going back to thought life, the things that were normal for me to think of, I remember for years fantasizing about other men, and this was even in church. But not thinking that it was even wrong. Well, you probably want to say you're an idiot. What? How would you? Well, the devil will cover stuff up, and he will just, but I know a lot of people do that. When we go to the gym together, there's plenty of people for him to look at. People don't wear a lot of clothes anymore, and people for me to look at. But you have to make a choice that you're not going to take a thought any farther than what it is, because every one of us will have that opportunity, every one of us. And, you just can't even go there. You open up that door, it's not good on the other side, so.
It's just like anything. You were talking about money or fill in the blank. I mean, it's okay to have it.
Yes.
Don't let it have you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really does matter who you surround yourself with, or your close circle. You have people that you allow to speak into your life. You have people that you allow to mentor you, people that you learn from. Not everybody's a good role model, and just because someone may be successful as a firefighter or police officer or whatever, or a pastor. My wife always said this. She goes, I don't care how wonderful a speaker is that you bring into the church. Could be powerful, dynamic. I want to know how he treats his wife, is what she said to me. And if he doesn't treat his wife right, then he ain't coming into this church. And I love that. And I always remember that. And we do look at that very seriously, that just because someone has a title or a position doesn't mean they know anything about successful relationships. And you could be married for 52 years and not even know your partner, not even care to know your partner. You're just existing. So these points of reference, I mean, if people are taking notes and listening, and I sure hope that they are, listening, know your priorities and keep them in balance. You have to do that. No one's going to do it for you, but others are going to try to define it for you, what your priority ought to be. No. I'll define my priority, because I want to have a happy, healthy relationship with this person, with my family. I want this marriage to last. I want to go the distance. So I'm not letting anybody tell me what my priorities are. I know what my priorities are. Number two, you have to manage your thought life. You have to. If you don't, your thought life is going to manage you. And just decide ahead of time, well, what kind of a person do I want to be? Here I am, 60 years old, 60 years young, 60 and a half now. I'm, mamma mia, my nudge.
Just a baby.
Just a baby. I'm just starting out. I'm just now starting out. I want to be a better person. Every day I say to myself, I want to be better. I want to do better. I woke up in the middle of the night last night feeling guilty about something, and I was like, oh. And I was like, really? I woke up feeling that way, and I said, Lord, please, I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't want to do that anymore, And it was just my thing. But I'm always scanning and looking and thinking, okay, don't do that again. Don't have that conversation. Don't say those things anymore. Yeah. So, but there is real substance to helping us change our thoughts. It's not just about, I will not think about that today, or I'm only going to think happy thoughts. Oh yeah, until the first bad thing happens, and then where's that happy thought going? There is a way to change the way you think, to change your worldview, and that's where your faith comes in. That's why it's so vital and it's so important, and it is a wonderful thing to be able to have thoughts grow and produce. It's a wonderful thing, or it could be detrimental. Mission-minded, number 3, to be know which missions are the most important and the effects that these missions have on those that are closest to you. And I want to add something in there too, is that, being mission-minded, there are some things that are worth dying for. Your family, there's just some things that are worth sacrificing for. And then there are many things that just aren't worth it. It's like, I'm not going to sacrifice my family anymore as much as I can help it. I'm going to do everything I can to keep that balance and focus on what is my mission? What is our mission? What is your mission? You have a mission as an individual. You have a mission as a spouse. You have a mission as a Christian. How do you just what do you do? How do you just bring that all and balance it out? And I'd like to think, I got to put a plug in for the chaplaincy, I'd like to think that a good chaplain can help you with that. What's your mission? Well, your first mission is to God. He wants to know you personally and intimately. Are you making yourself available to him for a personal, intimate relationship? I never heard that before. Well, good, you're hearing it. You're hearing it here first. Your spouse. You should not have intimacy with any other person to the level that you do with your significant other. That includes emotional connections, talking about things that, wait a minute, you shouldn't be talking that. Well, that's just my work spouse. Who come up with that stupid thing?
The world.
The world. You have a work spouse? Not me. I got one spouse, and her name is Valerie.
And for me, one's enough.
Amen. And Christine, we love you.
We're more than you guys can handle, huh?
That's right. Yeah, but speaking about your mission too, I believe that every one of us has a call, a higher purpose. There's a reason, and for some of us, it's easy to know what that call is. You're naturally gravitating toward, the fire service. You spent a career doing that. Could we say that was your call? Sure, absolutely, but not at the expense of your spouse, and you learn the hard way. I'm just going to roll right to number 4. Don't live in fear of making mistakes. Fear of making mistakes. Learn from them. Learn from the mistakes. Yes, learn from your mistakes, but isn't it so much better to learn from other people's mistakes? Yeah. That's what this is all about.
Look at their scars and say, hey, if you can. Mm-hmm. That's huge. And there again, surrounding yourself with mentor is a huge word in the fire service and the police department and in any walk of life. And those mentors, I would rather have mentors for life than mentors just off of one section of it. Because the mentors in my in the fire service, for me, I thank them for everything they taught me, but yet it was about the fire service. There was a few individuals that taught me about, things above and beyond that, but very few and far in between. I tell the story when my first marriage dissolved, it was like I had guys on the job coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, dude, move in with me. We'll have a great time." And I knew what that meant. It was going the exact direction that I didn't want to go. And that was a crossroads for me, and it was like, okay, thank God for praying grandparents and praying mothers and grandmothers, and that I
But
knew
that would
that
have been
direction.
an easier path.
Oh, it would have. It would have been definitely the easy.
Yeah,
the
especially
easy
in
way.
those emotional times, you make emotional decisions,
Yeah,
you end up in a mess.
yeah. So, yeah, it's. I'm glad I chose the direction I did, or she would have never happened to me, and I would have been on the junk heap, and
Well, and we could end up on the junk heap, and the romantic junk heap, the professional junk heap, the person. I mean, there's just so many junk heaps out there, but fear of making mistakes, and I think it's important for people to admit, listen, I'm going to fail. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and there's and this is not about me, but there is unfair pressure on a minister, on a pastor, that you're supposed to live this perfect life and be above. It's like, I am anything but perfect, and there are times, and I have to admit, that I was afraid of making mistakes and causing my wife to not love me, or to want to look elsewhere. And it's like, then finally one day it dawned on me, you know what? This is who I am. This is all I have to give you is myself. You have my whole heart. I hold nothing back. You have my whole heart, my whole life. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fail. And so I decided that early on that it was better for me to make more deposits into my relationship than withdrawals, or you'll be overdrawn. So how do we make deposits into our significant relationships to keep them healthy? What do we do?
You gotta take the time to be with each other. If you have young kids, especially, and of course, we never had to deal with children living with us. Now, we had grandkids a lot of the time, but all of our kids were grown, so we didn't have the, step kids trying to all get along together and, all of that. But I had asked the Lord, I said, Lord, how can you ever use me? And this is before we were ever together. I said, Lord, what good am I? How can do I just have to be used for divorced people? And he.
So what's my purpose?
Yeah, what's my purpose? And again, I just saw the Lord just kind of shaking his head like this, chuckling at me. He goes, Julie, he says, I can use you for married people, and I can use you for divorced people and single. Divorced people of, okay, this is what, you don't want to do. Married people, this is what you do to not get divorced. And single people of, okay, now these are things that you need to do, and how you need to respect your spouse, and what kind of a person you need to look for. But I know we were just talking about this the other day. It needs to be, like you just said, God first, then it's your spouse, then it's your children. Right. And if you, as a married couple with children, don't on a regular basis take time to be with each other, whatever that means, you go out to dinner, you go away for the night, or whatever. Go for a walk. Yeah. Just, you have to, that has to be important. Your spouse needs to know that they're important to you in that way. And I will say for Rand that, he always, I mean, really, you have always made me feel like I was important. When we are walking out on a street, he wants to be walking on the roadside so that he is there to protect me. He's always looking. Now, I will be very honest, and sometimes it makes me a little mad because I think that he thinks I'm weak, which, again, if you know me, it's like, I can do this. I don't need you to do this for me. But if he wasn't like that, if all of a sudden he changed, it would be devastating. I really don't want him to change. I still want him to open doors for me. I still always want him to be looking, waiting. He is truly a protector. And in ways that I think you don't even know, but if that's just, you know, who you are. And I forgive you for the time. No. No. So, but it is making, your husband needs to make you feel like you are most important, but the wife also needs to make the husband feel like he's most important. It takes two. It can't just be one.
Funny story. I mean, when I was young, still living at home with my folks, I disrespected my mom, and my dad, he was in earshot, and it back to the priorities, you know, where she comes first before anything else. And my dad said, don't ever disrespect her. I can't make another one of her. I can make more of you. So, he says, if you're out of the picture, not a problem. I'll just make another one.
That's good. We
So
got to remember
he
that
had
one.
his priorities in place. Yeah. So
You know, and I'm just thinking while you're talking too, how important it is that as a couple, that you understand this is not, and this is for all couples, whether it's just a significant other, whether it's a commitment through marriage, if you want to be a good boyfriend, a good girl, whatever you want to be, it has to be more than 50-50. You bring 100%, you bring 100%. And in my premarital counseling that I do for couples, before we take them to the altar, you know, I'll always ask the question to the effect of, do you believe that you're not a whole person without her? And do you believe that you're not a whole person? And almost 100% of the time, they all get that wrong. Oh, I'm not complete without him. I'm not complete without her. And it's like, well, see, let me help you with that. Because you want to bring a complete version of you, and then together, a whole Julie, a whole Randy. Now you create something wonderful together instead of half a man, half a person. It's like, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. And again, these are all subjective because these are my opinions and my values, but what I have found that works best. And it's not like your significant other is there just to serve you and make you happy. No, I'm here to serve you and make you happy. There are things that I'm sure you don't want to do, that you force yourself to do it.
Well, I think our society today, especially for women, as you look at the young married couples, it's with the entitlement and everything, there's that, you know, I'm going to be a self-made woman and I don't need anything else. And there's this whole push towards that, which makes that, because you have to compromise to allow him to
Yes,
be
I
on
do.
the outside.
Yes, I do.
Because you are strong, in a good way. But you do have to compromise to allow that to happen, and that's important to understand too. And I think a lot of the younger people today do not understand that, and the men I think have gotten weaker from that because this is all being pushed down everybody's throat. So they give up that position of authority.
Right.
And that's not
that's good.
good. I think that's the balance that we need to find in life, and our youngsters are not being taught that, in my opinion. I can look back and think of my grandfather telling me things ain't what they used to was, you know.
Exactly. But why aren't they like they used to be? Or, you know, what he was referring to at that time was the things that were important, you know.
Right.
Not
It
the
wasn't
fluff that
necessarily,
tries to
yeah.
cover us today,
The top
you know.
thing was not the career
Yeah, and you know,
or
just-
self.
Well, and that's the other thing is that, you know, self gets in the way, pride gets in the way, and you know, it's really hard to deal with a person who's full of themselves. Commitment, and we just, you know, we talked about maybe the difference between then and now. We have lost a lot today. We don't have some of these values and these things where I believe that commitment is from God. You make a commitment to somebody. You make a commitment to stay the course. You make a commitment to not quit. Heck, you come to the altar, you make a commitment to serve and follow Christ, right? So, what we're talking about are keys or points of reference where when you come into a relationship, you don't say, yeah, until something better comes along. No, this is it. This is the better. I don't want anything else.
You make it better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And if we're looking to change anything, look to change yourself.
Absolutely.
That's
That
it.
is
Dispatch from Route 7 Command.
Man, go ahead.
Need a chaplain at this location?
10-4. Attention 3392. 3392, you're needed at the 8000 block of Route 7. Multiple vehicle accident. Please acknowledge.
3392 is en route, 8000 block, Route 7.
10-4.
In the darkest blackness of human carnage and suffering, police, fire, and EMS intercede on behalf of mankind. God Himself reaches out to those who suffer through their hands. Their service is a clear and unmistakable demonstration that God does not abandon people in the storms of life.